Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Discord and Dragons. Tonight, I have some great OGC friends and both my favorite co-host friends for a fun stream. We're going to be covering some topics that are a mix of serious and not so serious, but we should have a good discussion all the same. And I have some funny treats for you in the treasure trove at the end after the memes, so definitely stick around to the end for that. Now, I want to optimize my time to talk to my OGC bros, so we're going to go ahead and bring out the featured guests for the evening. Mr. Clossington returning to the internet after a few months break. Welcome back, sir.
Howdy, Yiz. Always a pleasure to be back on Discord and Dragons. It's been quite a long time. I've taken a little bit of a winter hiatus, but now I'm back with quite a few live streams coming up this upcoming week, and glad to see everybody here.
I'm glad you're back, my friend. Speaking of friend, my good bro, Mr. Raging Mandrill, back with us again. Glad you're here tonight, sir.
Hello, hello.
And, of course, the aforementioned co-hosts, Muse Fist and 3 of 12. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, yes. How's it going? Always glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course, of course. And 3 of 12, glad you're here like usual.
I don't care who you said. I'm not taking off the hat.
I love my Christmas cheer and my Christmas hat, so you're welcome to keep wearing it as long as you like. Now, before we get started here, just a little bit of housekeeping. To let you guys know, I want to start doing more video game content, and so tomorrow I'm going to practice streaming Dark Tide again. You can hang out with me for a couple of hours before Artie and Fist at 6 p.m. I'll probably stream around 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So come hang out with me for a little while, then we will go over and listen to old Artie and Fist at 6 p.m. Fist, you guys doing the usual tomorrow night?
Yeah. I don't know exactly what we're covering. We usually sort of like whip the subjects sort of like into shape like on the day. But look, there's going to be some stupid debate between Andrew Wilson and Not So Erudite. I watched like a bit and it gave me brain cancer. So I presume it's going to be one of those streams where Artie like plays me stuff and I'm just like, no, oh god, the cringe, it's too much. So yeah, that should be fun. Oh, and and the war in Iran is like, it's like one of those girlfriends that can't commit. It's on again, off again. Will they?
Yeah.
Won't they? Like, the suspense, it's killing me. Just stick it in already.
Yeah. So tonight we are going to let Clossington be the party leader. And why does that matter? Well, because whenever I reveal the dragon topics, the party leader chooses which dragon that we face, and he can also choose to have a party member make that choice instead. And whoever chooses the dragon is the first one who must answer the dragon's question after we watch a video or read a bit of an article. So, Mr. Clossington, are you ready for the topics, my friend?
Yes, I am. Very glad to see them.
Tonight, we have a very special tinfoil dragon with Epstein again, so we'll have some Epstein tinfoil from the red dragon. The green dragon has birds of a feather. The black dragon has Mexico a fuego. The white dragon has Chimera gold medal. And the blue dragon has man-made horrors beyond comprehension. So as you can tell, we have some fun ones to pick from tonight. Clossington, you are the party leader, so the ball is in your court. Would you like to choose the first dragon or nominate a party member to make that choice?
All right, so I'm fairly certain I know what 4 out of the 5 of these dragons is going to have. So,
okay.
But I'm always surprised by man-made horrors beyond comprehension. That's the one thing I don't think I'll be able to predict what I'm getting myself into. So I'll go with the blue dragon.
Okay, sounds good. We'll have fun and also not have fun with this one.
very Zinch coded to make that one the blue dragon, I must say.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Hold on a second. My article crashed and died. Whoa. Hold on a second. Why is this? Okay, there it goes. I don't know what happened. I had a weird pop-up from my it wasn't from OBS this time, it was from Brave. It was unable to access the link, but after I refreshed it 3 or 4 times, it worked again. Strange. I've never seen it do that. That's weird. Anyway, the article. Prepare yourselves for man-made horrors. Are you ready for digital eternal life? Meta patents AI that can post for you after you're dead. If you ever thought that social media offers a kind of eternal life, you may be closer than you think. as Meta was granted a patent in late December for an AI system that will simulate your activity after you're dead, including posting and interacting with content. Oh boy. The language model may be used for simulating the user when the user is absent from the social network system. For example, when the user takes a long break or if the user is deceased. The patent says, according to Business Insider. Meta highlights that if you abruptly stop posting online, people might start missing you. The patent was first filed in 2023. It explains how technology would analyze user-specific data, including posts, voice messages, chats, comments, and the like, to mimic user activity on the platform, such as commenting, responding to posts, or DMs. The system could recreate a person's digital persona, making it appear as if they never left the platform. Boy, isn't that great. Taking this one step further, the filing also references technology that could even allow the clone to simulate audio and video calls. Great. That's what I always wanted, calls from my dead Nana for years. Isn't that great? A Meta spokesperson said that a granted patent doesn't guarantee the company will pursue or develop the technology. Quote, "We have no plans to move forward with this." Yeah, so why would you patent it? "Potential support or disaster in the making." Well, I am going to let you guys be the judge of that because that's actually what we're going to talk about tonight. So let us move to the blue dragon, which is this handsome fella here. The blue with us tonight is the patriarch of a clan of worms who have turned their magical gifts towards enhancing technologies like space travel, interplanetary communications, and other ventures related to advanced star-spanning society. Never did his clan even think to do something as gross and malfeasant as this. It's abhorrent to him, and he's curious how we feel about this kind of technology that allows people to live on after death via social media. So, Clossington, the question comes to you first. Do you think that it is acceptable to have such a thing as this in your society? What long-term effects do you think it would cause if such a thing became ubiquitous?
All right. So is this specifically in reference to, the sort of AI bots continuing to post your
AI using social media, phone calls, other media interactions to keep a person alive after he's dead.
So, I mean, to a certain extent, I think we're already there with, sort of dead internet theory on like Facebook, where, if you already go to Facebook, it's already just nothing but bots, AI, spam, and occasional, like, doddering friends and family and mutuals just, you know, clicking on and responding to the dead internet already. So, I mean, I think we've already kind of tacitly accepted this as a sort of society, but it's only going to get worse. And I don't, I don't think it's quite. How do you say? It's already happened. It's already here. We're already kind of accepting it. But should there be some sort of, um, I guess, would it be acceptable to have some sort of? Would it be preferable if we could have some sort of like, I don't know, human only reservation where the only people that could like actually post there are human, and like that would be infinitely more preferable than the Facebookification of the internet. But I I won't say if it's acceptable or not. That's just
Okay.
that question is kind of beyond what I guess I can fathom. It would be kind of cool to go through the entire or like run the entire oeuvre of some like long dead historical figure or whatever, the oeuvre of their entire works, and see what they'd actually say with an unbiased bot. But if you're just resurrecting grandma to see what she'd say on any given day, it's creepy. It's very creepy, but it's definitely not good for people. Like going on the ghost town that is Facebook is obviously not good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna say no and bad to the dragon.
Very good. Good answers. Who wants to take this one next?
I'll take it
I'll
next
go. No, you go, Reggie Mandrill, if you want.
I'd say all I have to say to answer the dragon's questions is I live, I post, I I live once more.
Very good.
Well, okay. I mean, I have two thoughts on this. Number one, I do like the idea that my racism could continue to live on after I die. So there is that. And my second one is that this kind of technology is going to like make the next 9/11 like way easier. Right.
Mhm.
Remember when it was like so low tech, like they had the Israelis like literally calling like people up and being like, oh yeah, oh yeah, I'm your son. I'm on like a plane and no. Now, fortunately, right, that whole thing of like, convincing people will be a lot easier. Right. So I mean, there is that. Look, to be serious, I don't think this shit is healthy. Like, quite honestly, I mean, everyone remembers that Black Mirror episode, or the I think they did a couple of episodes around this subject. And Minority Report it's a science fiction trope, right? Of someone they love like dies and they can't move on because they're still having a sort of digital relationship with their ghost. I think this is gonna probably be like more common. I mean, it's a sort of digital. I mean, okay, I guess it would be one thing, and this is how they'll get it through. Is they'll be like, oh well, I can see circumstances where it could be like interesting. You can talk to your, long dead grandfather. But the thing is, right? Like whatever LLM or whatever this is running on is going to be censored to all hell, right? So if like my granddaughter like wanted to talk to an LLM, right? The LLM would probably be either, oh, did you know your grandfather was a massive racist and like actually everything in London was like absolutely awesome. Like, it's much more likely to be just. I just don't see them, the powers that be, allowing this without very, very heavy censorship. On the other hand, I think it would probably like there's going to be like so much digital crap left over. I mean, if society doesn't self-immolate and the entire internet get deleted or something like that, right? Like if your grandchildren will be able to just look at your social media history if they want to like research you, it'll probably tell them a lot. But what long-term effects? Oh man, I don't know. I mean, you could probably make an argument that it would allow a group of people to have access to wisdom from their past. But see, again, that also goes like right against the goals of the powers that be. So I can't see that happening. It's all going to hinge on who controls the LLM that it's running on.
Yeah, I entirely agree with everything you just said. In fact, I was going to double down on it, saying that well, because of the powers that be and the way that they are and how lobotomized LLMs are, they're not going to act anything. They're not going to sound or act anything like what you remember. They're going to be a pale imitation. They're not even going to give you the feels from it correctly. It'll actually be very unpleasant, I think. I mean, I can see the temptation of wanting it. I mean, I lost my father in November 2024, and every once in a while, I think of the fact that, he used to call often for just no reason, just to talk about shit that happened to him, just to give me, just to flex out my social battery. He was very attentive. He was very loving. We had a lot in common. He taught me my values.
I got to meet him. Cool guy.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I miss him to death, and I still get those feelings of, oh, he'll just walk through that door at random, like Kramer at any time, and he'll just do his thing. So it is weird that it's starting to get really weird. And I'm sad to think that I'd be the type of person who'd be tempted to do that if I didn't know better. I can't see it being anything like actually being around my dad again. And even if the powers that be didn't lobotomize AI, it might get very close if it wasn't, because I think we got good results in that sort of thing with AI and AI character creation, right? That, remember when that was popular? Still is, but it's not as good as it used to be. But it would get really close if we were living in that kind of world where it wasn't lobotomized. But I can't see it being used as anything other than a tool to sanitize history. and to give the powers that be yet another tool to keep you paused and retarded.
Well, I have a different take that no one else brought up, so I'm going to go with this. I think that more so than the anti-racist, anti-white stuff, I think that regardless of that tilt or governments or global anti-whites or whatever using it to push, mind cancer into young people via the ghosts of their loved ones, I think that it's unhealthy and destructive for a different reason, even without all of that, because it pushes people away from reality. The reality that we must face is life and death. Life and death both need to have value and mean something. I've talked about this on stream before and on my morning walk videos, how one of the things of modernity that started well over 100 years ago was this removal of death and seeking a good death from our society in total. Like death avoidance and even avoiding talking about sickness and death has been a thing in culture for at least 100 years, and I don't like that. I think that if you start pushing this stuff to be normal, the more we have the surreal, the virtual reality getting in the way of actual reality, the less effective and the less sane people will be. And I'm not talking about you, Mr. High testosterone, high IQ Ubermensch. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the normal masses, the regular bell curve people. The more they are propagandized, the more they are pulled into this virtual reality, the less effective and the less complete they will be as people. And so even if everything was hunky-dory and we had, nice, homogenous, comfy countries that were high trust again, I would still be against this kind of thing. I don't see this ever being healthy or constructive, even in a small scale, let alone if it becomes ubiquitous to keep your loved ones around in your little digital touchpads on your mantelpiece so you can just conjure them and talk to them whenever you want. I don't think that's healthy or natural, and I don't think it's good, and I think nothing good would come of it. So what do you guys think about my take on that?
Yeah. I agree entirely.
I agree entirely. People, this is one of the things I noticed sort of increasingly with the modern world is that, in the life extension and everything like that, like you have to die. Like just everybody dies. And if you hold up your death, like we're seeing with the boomers, right? Like they're living so much longer. Mm-hmm. And look what's happened as a result, right? Like a generation that lives over long stops the next generation from taking over. It has all kinds of it has all kinds of like knock-on effects.
There's a reason why society used to be generational and work in communal connections, because you would have, if you were lucky, 3 generations of men and women that were actively involved in the upbringing and socializing of people in that community. Uncles and aunts and great uncles and great aunts and mothers and fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers used to all be much more interconnected and heavily involved in shaping community and raising children together. And the more that we atomize, the more we break that up, I think the less effective and the less complete we are as people. And we've seen that. Look, I mean, for all of the wonders that we have and all of the great things that we have with technology and planes and medicine and all that, why do all of us feel this big, vacuous, empty void in our lives? Is because it's all fake and it's not a real healthy community and society anymore like it used to be. And I think technology is a big part of that. Like I know that I'm, an old school Uncle Ted guy, but apart from all of that stuff, you just have to acknowledge that a lot of this stuff is changing us, even if the people behind it aren't like these evil, manipulative, Machiavellian shitbags. Just people who love technology and pursue it for the sake of it, like, oh, it's awesome. And I mean progressive apart from politics. Like, if you want to progress the technological level of mankind, just pursuing that for its own sake seems to have proven to be kind of destructive and dehumanizing. So I think we should be very careful with that. That's my problem with most of this stuff.
I think a significant part of those generational problems would be solved if people were just forced to retire at a certain age, like maybe when you hit your final rung of retirement. when you know what I mean? When you hit the highest level of payoff of your retirement accounts. And then basically it would just force the gaps open. And I think on top of what you're saying, that emptiness is also caused by a lack of wisdom in our culture.
Mhm.
That such old people just work instead of actually fulfilling the role that elders are supposed to have, providing people with wisdom.
Especially in the Anglosphere, older white people, they're encouraged to atomize. They're encouraged to, work till you're 60 or 65 and have your own hobbies and, live like you're 30 for the rest of your life. And like, that's not normal. It's not healthy. Like when you get older, like 45 and older, you should already have, if you're not a parent yourself, you should have younger people that you are teaching things to and mothering or fathering in ways that will make them better for the society you're leaving behind as you become phased out. Like that is how we should build culture. Like that's normal and healthy. And the more that we suck people away from doing that, I think the worse off we'll be.
Yeah, I was lucky to have a father that actually taught me all sorts of things and was constantly showing me his experiences and music and culture and encouraging me to look into it as well. And I think he managed to do a pretty good job. It just goes to show that a man that didn't even have a college education could do so much to help the next generation, or at least his own kids.
Mm-hmm.
If he's just there and he's just involved in their lives. The fact that so many boomer parents were not involved in his lives, and now they're in their 30s and they're kind of lacking in terms of personal skills.
Yeah, a lot of us Gen Xers, we were latchkey kids. Like we would come home from school, nobody's there. And this was back before daycare and after school shit became ubiquitous. So like, in the 70s and 80s, when everything was, in most parts of America was still pretty white and safe and secure and all that. You just had a huge swath of us who were like in our late 40s and 50s now, who our boomer parents were just gone all the time doing stuff, working their asses off. And, we didn't have aunts and uncles and shit around because they were doing the same thing. So it's like you have a giant swath of people around my age. And like, we are really where the chain was broken. The boomers were the first heavily propagandized people with this totalitarian propaganda shit, but they weren't the broken link. People my age are where the link was really broken, because those people were just atomized consumers and we weren't given what everybody before us was given growing up.
Yeah, and I spent my teenage years in daycare when I was going to middle school and high school. So similar issues. I was occasionally a latchkey kid. I spent a lot of time in daycare.
Well, anything else on this topic before we move on, gentlemen? Now that we've chewed on a few things, anything else you guys have to say? All right. Well, I would like to remind everyone, if you would like to share some of your hard-earned dollars with me, I would deeply appreciate that, because this is what I do for a living now. And you can support over on Entropy, which is the way I prefer to receive paid chats and financial support. My other preferred method is Subscribestar. Subscribestar is where you can support me monthly with monthly donations, and I have many different tiers as low as $1 a month. And if you are a monthly supporter of mine, your name will be included in that awesome intro graphic by Lomax Designs. And I would like to say to Tomb of Arminius, I thought that I re-included your name back in the intro graphics, but apparently I either uploaded the wrong one or it didn't save after it was baking. So I know you're supposed to be back in that now since you're back from your unexpected break. So it's at least by next week, I'll have your name back in that like it's supposed to be. So I wanted to bring that up. You can also send in short paid messages on PayPal and Cash App. Rumble and Odyssey also have paid chat features if you'd like to use those as well. Speaking of, Captain Corgi just sent in $20. Thank you very much, Captain Corgi. Deeply appreciate that. He sends an 07 and he says, "Be awesome." Well, thank you very much, CC. I appreciate the support. All righty, Roo. Oh, I see Simon JJ in the chat. Good to see you too, buddy. Speaking of financial supporters, thank you very much. All right, let's drop that and bring back up the topics. We started with the Blue Dragon, which was, of course, man-made horrors beyond comprehension, which leaves Tinfoil Epstein, Birds of a Feather, Mexico a Fuego, and Chimera Gold Medal. So, Mr. Clossington, you're the party leader. What will be next, sir?
Well, let's go right into, I guess, Mexico a Fuego, since I guess this is the most sort of topical subject.
It is. And I think that, yeah, this is the only video that I have for tonight, for topics, that is. So let's go ahead and embiggen. This is a short video. And I clicked the wrong button. Oops. There we have it. So just take a gander at this for a moment.
Look, now we're scared. We only go out when it's necessary because people don't know whether to go out or what to do.
Well, there we have that. According to Reuters and other sources, Mexico killed El Mencho, head of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. Let me embiggen this a little bit so it's easier to see. Within hours, highways were blocked across multiple states. Cars and buses torched. Gunfire in resort towns. Airlines canceled flights to Puerto Vallarta. A cartel member told Reuters that fires were revenge, and then added, but the internal killings are coming next as groups fight to take over. This is what happens every time Mexico takes out a cartel boss. In 2019, Ovidio Guzman arrested, released same day because of the violence. 2024, El Mayo arrested, and Sinaloa's war has been a war zone for over a year. You can't arrest your way out of cartels when cartels control the country. Very well said, Mario. Now, that is the Black Dragon. So let's go check out the Black Dragon. The Black with us tonight is gifted with divination magic and uses his powers to help the Great Dragon Empire avoid political and economic pitfalls. He chose this story tonight because stopping organized crime and insurgent political groups is one of his favorite things. His question tonight is about the cartels. Clossington, do you think it's a valid use of the U.S. war machine to hunt down and destroy every last cartel in Central and South America? What would the pros and cons to such a war be?
Okay. I think that's so I think a lot of the times the U.S. has selectively chosen to enforce whenever we actually go hunt down and destroy, so to speak, every last cartel in Central and South America. Sometimes we prop up the narco state. Sometimes we sell them out. Probably the most infamous example being how we treated President Noriega of Panama. Useful as a CIA asset, we ignored the cartels. When his usefulness runs out, hunt him down like a dog. When we want to increase pressure on Venezuela, we hunt down the sort of gray fleet, merchant fleet, and selectively blow up cartels. When we want peace, we kind of just gently ignore them and let cartels consolidate power. I think it's, do we have a responsibility to just carte blanche nuke all of the cartels? I mean, sometimes the countries ask us to. Sometimes they say don't, and sometimes we go in when they say don't. I'm generally opposed to making very sort of ideological calls, but generally, it's poor geopolitics to encourage narco states on our border, I guess, is what I'd just say.
Okay. Anybody else want to take a crack at this one?
Well, it's certainly a more sort of valid use of the US war machine to hunt the narco state literally across your southern border than to go to war with Iran, in my personal opinion. As far as pros and cons, well, on the pro side, you could side with one half of the network that's at war with the other half of the network, right? In which case you could help that part of the network defeat the other part of the network, for the goals of the network. So so there's that. I'm increasingly coming around to this. I don't know how long this is going to last, but I've just entered this weird state where I've started seeing like basically all of global politics is just basically this one huge like tentacled octopus, a gigapus.
It's a gigapus, yes,
right,
yes.
and it's like that just sort of fights with itself essentially.
It's the retarded Gigahydra.
Yeah, basically, right? It's the Giga Hydra, right? And like two retarded heads are fucking like biting in each other. It would, I mean, this is the thing with very many moving parts. I mean, I guess one like con of it is that apparently there's large nose. Precisely. It has a billion noses.
You cut off one nose and it grows two more.
You see like one tentacle that's got like 16 noses. You're like, damn.
I mean, there are little hooks on those, so it fits. Little hook noses all down the tentacles.
Dude, I've heard that there's substantial Israeli involvement with the cartels. A bunch of them were training in Ukraine.
Ukraine.
No, yeah, Jalisco New Generation. There's like a whole bunch of like pics of them like training in Ukraine. So that's great. Piss.
I'm sure it will contribute to world piss.
Oh my god. We must back piss with spit.
Oh.
He's like talking recently. I think. I mean, look, it's entirely probable, indeed almost certain, that these cartels have like tons of people inside the US. Much like the Iran, like if the Iran war kicks off, I'm legitimately worried what the fuck's going to happen in London, because there are fuckloads of Shia Muslims in London. You can go down to like Marble Arch on
that's like living where I do in the middle of freaking nowhere. Like,
look, I'm working on it, right? But yeah, if you go down to Marble Arch on Ali Hussein's birthday, you can literally see like 10,000 of them all like beating their chest, dressed in black, and like waving the, So there could be great bit and desire to piss. Yeah, I know it's like Pornhub the country. I think the possible likelihood of blowback is severe. On the other hand, they cause like so many problems. You can't have like a narco state. I mean, it's not even a narco. They're like Mexican ISIS. These people, right? They're like they're hardcore. So yeah.
Like
anyway.
when you look at any of the footage of these actual cartel guys, like they have these sort of cartel members that look almost like mercenaries or better equipped than the actual like Mexican military. It's like, who's actually getting funding around here? It ain't the Mexican army. It's terrifying. It's like the sort of state within the state in Mexico a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well, 312, you're American. You're American too. What do you think?
I think it's a perfectly valid use, considering it protects our security. I mean, it's just obvious. They've openly declared that they're going to enter Texas and engage in terrorism here too. So we should stop it. And then if we can stabilize Mexico, that's likely to make them more of an ally long term, especially since they clearly don't like Sheinbaum. They clearly see her as a foreigner and a globalist interloper. So I think long term, that would be a great way to make them grateful towards us.
I think so too. Raging Mandrill, you take your name from a Crusader clan. I'd like to hear what you have to say on this.
Well, technically, it's a mix, right? So in BattleTech lore, the Fire Mandrill clan is notoriously fractious and is either a Crusader or Warden, depending on which subgroup or Kindra is.
I thought they leaned Crusader clan though.
They do, yeah. They definitely
Okay.
lean Crusader clan, but yeah, it depends on which Kindra you're talking about. Notoriously fractious clan, and
they're just not balls to the wall like a Smoke Jaguar or Jade Falcon.
Well, they're more fractious than other clans, definitely. Now, to answer the dragon's question, well, it's tempting to say yes, isn't it? It really is. How do you deal with this problem? I mean, I don't know how you deal with this problem without just directly declaring war on Mexico as a whole. Like, that is just a narco state, as far as I can tell. So, I mean, unless you're willing to conquer and occupy Mexico as a territory, and by extension, a lot of South and Central America, I mean, that's obviously directly getting into the cons of it, right? Is you basically have to control Mexico, right? You have to physically occupy the territory, control it, govern it, and that brings all sorts of other fucking problems because, like, I'm sorry to say this, but you know, how are you going to control the cartels when you can't even control crime on our own streets? So it's kind of like, well, yeah. Do I want to eliminate a border or a barrier boundary between the United States and Mexico proper? You know.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I don't think that we should get behind an effort like this until we fix what's wrong in the territory we already have. But I like the idea of a crusade. I like the idea of expanding empirical justice. And if we have a series of good leaders that clean up our country, stop the anti-whiteism, get the people who aren't supposed to be here out, clamp down on immigration, and really heal and fix this country, I think that we should manifest destiny our asses southward. And we should be like, hey, Mexico, you're a shitty failed state full of idiots. And we don't like these international Jews coming in here and setting up shop with your shine bombs and shit. So that's out. We also hate cartels. And you guys are going to just have to deal with our occupation until we kill every last one of these people and put their heads on spikes. And hey, South America, can you hear? We're in Mexico right now, and we're coming for you too. And then just manifest destiny our asses all the way to the very southern border of Chile and just absolutely massacre every single one of these pieces of shit and establish order in our half of the world. That's what I would like to see happen. I think that's a crusade and empirical expansion that I would get behind. I would like to see that. I would like to see that happen, and I think it could eventually be good for us.
Full of Mexicans, though.
Yeah. The problem with Mexico is that it's full of Mexicans.
And I'm not saying that we need to like enslave people. I'm not talking about that. But what we can do is we can say, hey, this is a U.S. occupied zone now. We will be fair to you. You can cook your tortillas. You can speak your Mexican. We don't give a shit. Just stay out of our way. Don't screw with us, or your head's on the pike too. Get out of our way. And if you do that enough, and you do that hard enough, you can actually make things prosperous. You can empirically make an area not shit if you have confident, driven, intelligent white men at the helm working together for righteous purposes. You can actually fix stuff.
But yes, we already enslaved the Mexicans.
The problem that you have there is that is going to require some racism. And obviously we can't do that. Yeah. So, you know, it would be nice to have like security for your country, but you know, sorry about that.
But no, that's why I said this would require us fixing things and actually having a functional country again that has a good identity, that has a white identity, that has a good Christian identity, or whatever we have as our unifying religious identity at that point. It would require those things before I think this would be a viable, good strategy. I don't want Trump to do it tomorrow. That would be a fucking disaster. Disaster.
So fascism, basically.
I mean, you can call it what you want. I don't care. Fascism. I don't.
There's nothing wrong with fascism. There's nothing wrong with fascism at all.
I mean, you can call it whatever you want. I don't care what you call it. Like, I want things to work, and I want the bad guys to get got.
sniff libertarianism in the chat here.
Me too.
Uh-oh, what's going on? What do people say? I haven't looked.
No, not in the chat. I'm hearing hoeing and humming from 3 of 12. So I'm threatening.
Oh, I'm an objectivist. I'm no
I'm
longer.
threatening to step on snake here.
So like
I don't think like full blown fascism is very American in the end, but I'm also
I didn't say anything
realistic.
about fascism. I said the people could
Right.
be who they are. They just have to get out of
Yeah.
our way and let us kill the bad guys.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like if you think, because I was about to say stuff about like, yeah, you might want to do things in a specific order, but opportunities don't expose themselves that way. You don't always get them when you want them. So you have to be willing to multitask. You're going to have to, at times like this, we're going to have to work really hard. So we're going to have to consider some kind of help with them. It might be in more of the Delta boys doing specific missions to assassinate people. I know that boots on the ground is probably not going to be it, but bombing runs would probably help certain times. Like, I don't want to waste American lives over any foreign conflict, but they are on our doorstep. We got to consider that.
I mean, it's in our direct sphere of influence, though, isn't it? Like, it's
Yeah.
one thing to say, oh, like, I don't like the forever wars. I don't like foreign adventurism. Like,
Yeah.
Does
that count as that? No, I don't think so.
No, that's my point. It totally does not, because not only is it in our direct sphere of influence, being on our doorstep, like there is a far, far better argument to say, well, this is more in line with the actual interests of everyday Americans, to go after the crime and the narco cartels and all that stuff than it is to go and fight wars in the Middle East for no gain.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, my instinct is to deploy the military to Texas right now.
Based.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. We should. Again, there's a lot of shoulds in this conversation, but
to deport the Mexicans, right?
Yeah.
Stairs and Anakin.
So that's my point with this is I do think it's necessary. I just don't think we are in a position where it would be good to do that yet. But assuming things like, let's say in a few years we have a whole bunch of Rupert Lowe's, excuse me, and we have better Trumps and better JD Vances taking the reins, and then a decade down the road we actually have removed like 50 million people from our country. We've cleaned up the streets, things are looking better. Let's say 10 or 20 years down the road it's looking like that, but the cartels are still these nasty canker sores on our continent. We should go scorched earth on them. Kill every single one of them and everyone who assists or defends them. Kill them all. Execute them righteously. Crusade against them. And I don't see that being a problem. And I see that actually being a cultural good. You have men crusading for a just cause, building empire together under our name, under our banner. I think that's a glorious, beautiful thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I love when Yus gets fired up. It's so awesome.
Well, I'm not saying this for like the memes. I'm just saying that, a state as big as the United States is an empire, whether we like that or not. And empires have to do something and have a reason and have a vision and, expand in some way, or they fizzle out and die. Like whether that's space travel, which I would love space imperialism. That's awesome. Let's go colonize planets and moons and make starships and shit. That's great. But we have to start smaller than that. And securing at least our continent is a great start. And then if we want to, expand down to South America and say, hey, North and South America, this is our zone. Nobody else comes in. We've got rid of all of the people we don't like here. This is our Lebensraum. These are our continents. Nobody screw with us. All you Saco Desert people and bug people over in Asia, Middle East land, do what the fuck you want. Like, that's fine. But I do think that it would be healthy for some kind of Western imperialism or Anglosphere imperialism, whatever you want to call it. I think it would be healthy to have some kind of unifying crusade. And who better to pick than the ineffable, horrific bad guys of the cartels? That's a great enemy.
See, I think we should curb stomp not just the Mexicans, but also the snow Mexicans.
I have a meme for that later, but it's fine.
I mean, I'm not even joking. Like, yeah, like I use this like joke. Yeah, joke, question mark. Yeah. So in actuality, like if you're, despite the problem with Mexico, you I'm not even sure you need or want to control Mexico in that way, right? Mexico, because it's racially different, because it is like a third world country on a first world border, and therefore brings us all the problems with a substantial fifth column population. Like, well, I mean, dealing with Mexico would be different than dealing with Canada for that reason. And
Yeah,
in
of course.
Mexico, like it would make far more geostrategic and geopolitical sense for us to say to indulge the Albertan independence, like drive to independence.
Of course.
Why does that make more sense to us? Well, because having land access to Alaska would be far more geostrategically relevant to us and economically beneficial for us than getting involved in Mexico and trying to control a foreign and hostile population. Whereas in Canada, assuming that they're going to be Ingetified and controlled by Jeets and that would be a way that you would unite the Anglosphere under the American banner in this land and on this continent. I mean, that would be how you would do it. But yeah, I know some people don't are totally anti-Canada, but like it also makes sense to do that from the perspective of just high politics and high geostrategy, right? Having Canada and having actual control over the Arctic and all of that is probably better than leaving it in the hands of the Canadian government and with the possibility of Chinese intrusion and all of that, and Indian infiltration, and that's probably far more down the line than that. I mean, it even makes more sense than going after Greenland. Like, Greenland is a liability, right? Why would we want Greenland? You don't need. I mean, the reason why is, well, we want access to the Arctic and we need some kind of Arctic strategy because the ice is melting and global warming, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, but like, why does that make sense? I mean, it makes that strategy makes sense because you have an assumption that Canada is a friend and ally when really they're not. Exactly, they're like frenemies basically. But I'm
not saying that like we have to go scorched earth and remove all the browns and mixed race people from Central and South America, nor am I saying we have to make them legitimate states that are part of the US. I'm just saying that I think it would be worthwhile to set up some kind of empirical protectorate zone on this half of the world and say, if you are going to do A, B, C, and D, you are going to get obliterated by our super military. You're not allowed to do this here. You can stay a chili chomper in Mexico and speak your distorted Spanish language if you want. We're not going to fuck with you, but you're going to do what we say, and you're not going to get in our way. Enjoy your dirt. Enjoy your dirt and your chupacabra legends. Just stay out of our way.
Oh, I'm a chupacabra legend enjoyer, but yeah, I just found the chili chomper comment funny. That's a hilarious appellation.
I'm old. I say a lot of things like that. Because remember, I was raised by old people, and we're behind the times here anyway. So in a lot of ways, my dialect is still from like the late 1800s.
Yeah, they always say that Appalachia is like 40 years behind everybody else.
And it's Appalachia, not Appalachia. I don't care what the eggheads or the academics say. It's Appalachia.
Well, I have a West Coast accent, so I'm sorry.
You kill yourself immediately.
Oh, no, don't be like that. Well, I know I talked a lot on this one, but I'm passionate about the subject. Clossington, is there anything you would like to say in closing, since the rest of us talked a lot and you didn't?
I would chill the this upcoming Wednesday, I'm going on to the Green Tavern, the Nathaniel Green Society's weekly live stream, and I'm specifically discussing the U.S. Navy between 1882 and World War I. And this was sort of like the prime years of, well, it's ramping up to the prime years of U.S. imperialism in, Latin America. There are, a dozen instances of, the U.S. sending in the Marines and having forced labor to build the highways and build the harbors against a very petulant and slothful native population. There is some precedence but that precedence eventually yielded to 20 years of good neighbor policy, and then that yielded to Cold War, dictatorships and what have you. Whenever you have a who's how do you pronounce the president of El Salvador? Bukele.
Bukele.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Latin America is littered with Bukeles who reign for 20 years and then end up having decline for 40 years because of democratic socialism or slothful populists. There really is no solution to the question of the base population of Latin America. I would hedge against outright annexation. There is a great speech by John C. Calhoun after the Mexican-American War, when people were suggesting that we annex Mexico outright. He had a quote that's read something like, our nation is a republic of the white race, and they are a people that know only of despots and only really respond to governments by despots. Calhoun, of course, rather spicy figure in his own right, but I think he was, his words of caution about outright annexing, Spanish territories has a lot of weight.
Yeah, like I said a little earlier, I don't think that we should just make them all equal states or anything, nor do I think we should even be that heavily involved. I just think that there's not a good fix to all of these cartels that riddle Central and South America that doesn't involve massive military operations and lots of purposeful killing. And you're not going to vote and legislate them away. It won't work. And so if we go to the trouble of exterminating them like the vermin they are, then while we are doing that, maybe we could leave behind some things. Maybe we could set up some kind of interconnected military outposts and keep watch on what goes on to make sure that shit doesn't rise up again and to keep the despots down. I'm just thinking about the future here.
Eradication angle, outright, was it the sort of when we actually didn't conquer, but peacefully occupied Haiti for about 20 years, in the 1920s and 30s, we kind of reimposed a sort of, I wouldn't say it's slavery, but it's, instead of paying your taxes, you do a little bit of hard labor. And that project produced pretty much the only usable harbors and highways that Haiti ever really had.
Yeah.
And it's still the infrastructure that they use to this day. But that's the imposition of a very hard-nosed government that knew exactly what it needed to do on behalf of, rather wealthy interests, partly spurred on by, the Germans who wanted to, set up Haiti as a sort of protectorate. But that's neither here nor there. I'm saying it can be done, but it often comes at the cost of later sort of native resistance.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That ends up in 80 years of shithole.
Yeah, that's why I like sort of a soft imperialism take on it. Of don't mess with the natives, let them have their culture. Don't try to go in and conquer them, so to speak. But they respond to strength genetically, as we see, and I think that if we had a bunch of good-minded Anglos that were all unified in a crusade against the cartels and to create a protected hemisphere for us, I think that a lot of good could be done in that pursuit. Not just good for our race, but good for the people of down south as well. And it would make the continents a safer place. So anyway. That was a good conversation, but for sake of time, let's go ahead and move on. We still have dragons to get to. So before we do that, we had a donation over on PayPal from our good sister, Dawn Browning. She loves sharing her dollars with us. She sends in $10 US like normal with one trophy and one white heart for each of us, 5 of each one, and says, thanks all, good stream. So thank you very much, Dawn. We always appreciate you being here and sharing your dollars with us. Thank you very much. That was, which one was that? That was Mexico a Fuego. Clossington, there are 3 topics left. Would you like to choose the next topic or have a party member make that choice?
I'll have a party member make that choice.
Who will it be?
I'll just hand it over to Mandrill.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing a little modeling here. What were the options again?
Well, you know what we've already done. We've done Mexico a Fuego and Man-Made Horrors Beyond Comprehension. That leaves Tinfoil Epstein time,
Oh,
Birds of a Feather, and Chimera Gold Medal.
Thank you. Yes, apologies for that. I'm focused on some modeling stuff as we're.
Oh, that's
talking.
cool. That's cool.
Let's see. Why not? Let's do the Epstein stuff again.
Oh boy, Epstein stuff. Fun.
Oh, Jesus.
Let's dive right into it.
Okay.
Into the rat's nest.
All right. This one is also a video, and I think you'll have fun with it. If StreamYards will let me pipe it in. It failed. Try it again. All right, there it goes. It worked this time. All right. I want you guys to take a look at this stuff that was released from the Epstein files, and we'll talk about it. So it's short, but it's good.
Tell me, what are the odds that the notary to the deed of what was both Epstein and Howard Lutnick's property at 11 East 71st Street, because yes, Epstein owned that property before Lutnick owned that property. It was transferred to Epstein for just $10 in 1992. Epstein passed the deed to a Comet Trust in 1996, again, for just $10, of which a Guido Goldman was a trustee, the son of one of the founders of the World Jewish Congress. And then it was passed to Lutnick in 1996 for, again, just $10. Who notarized the deed transferring this property from Jeffrey Epstein to the Comet Trust in 1996? A Gary Pollard. A Gary Pollard just so happened to be in the perfect spot at the perfect time to record the perfect shot of the South Tower collapsing on September 11th, 2001. Is it just a weird coincidence that Jeffrey Epstein and Howard Lutnick owned 911 East 71st Street?
Well. I love tinfoil time. Let's go now to the Red Dragon. Oh, the topics are still up. There we go. The Red with us tonight is a high noble among dragons and enjoys indulging in the conspiracy theories about the rich and powerful because of how amusing it is. He chose some choice Epstein and 9/11 tinfoil tonight because after all he's seen become public in the Anglosphere, this has started to seem less like tinfoil, and he's curious what we think. His question tonight comes to Raging Mandrill first. Do you think this particular cabal of U.S. and Israeli intelligence villains are responsible for the 9/11 terror attack? Why or why not?
Well, that is a spicy question. That's a spicy meatball, as they say.
Why? That's why people tune in. They like my topics.
Indeed. Well, let's see. I don't know enough about that subject to know any different from what.
Well, I could rant for hours about it, but I won't. Because that was my first real rabbit hole, was the 9/11 truth shit back like 15 years ago.
Let's put it this way. With all the stuff about Jeffrey Epstein and all of the other the obvious connection with Israeli intelligence that's been there for a while, I mean, it would not surprise me. But you'd have to fill in a lot of key details of like how the planes and the pilots and all that stuff. And there's also other weird things too, like other people are noticing other connections, shall we say, with members of this group that Epstein was a part of, and other connections with the far right. Like it's a very strange feeling, to hear, Steve Bannon, 10 years of railing against the globalists, and all of a sudden he's we hear that he's palling around with Jeffrey Epstein. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's like it's one doesn't believe in a hidden hand or anything, but it's just like, well, these people are so pervasive and so ubiquitous that it's like they touch everything. Like, how do you and so when the conspiracy theorists are like, oh well, this thing or that thing, and then you hear members of their group go, oh, that wasn't us, totally, like, both are talking, it just might be possible both are talking past each other to a degree. But from their point of view, they're like, oh, there's just a bunch of people who are like doing our thing. And yeah, of course I gave him like a sweetheart deal for his mansion or whatever. And like everybody does that sort of thing. Yeah. And
people in certain echelons do sort of know each other, like even if they're not directly involved in each other's dirty laundry.
Right.
So it's in the realm of possibility for sure.
Oh, sure. And I'm not discounting that either. Like, of course, one person could have their own dirty laundry and then another person has their form of dirty laundry, and all of a sudden they intersect and they're talking on, some other place, and then, they it's like, oh, okay, well, that's a thing. Those people were connected in a way that they didn't themselves even understand. But it just really goes to show you, right? There is no. I had this conversation with Jay Ford actually this last weekend, and he was mentioning to me, like, or I mentioned to him, like, reality is a web, right? You have these different nodes of control, and some of them interact on occasion, and some of them even ones which are, have very little in common, have very little common interest. They do interact on occasion as well, and even positively, right? You'd be surprised. And there are occasions and scenarios where, and this actually directly ties back to the Mexico and the cartel thing. The conditions for cooperation between just an open terrorist network and for doing political terrorism and like, just open criminality are actually pretty common. Right. Mm-hmm. And there are specific scenarios where they would actually like coordinate and cooperate and do things that are in their interest. Like occasionally they would have like a business deal that benefits both of them. And so of course they're going to take it, even if they don't, trust each other fully and that sort of thing. And it brings up a lot of questions too, because, I've long questioned the connections between, Epstein's group and political leadership in Ukraine, and explaining how that whole thing happened, but also somehow there's going to be Ukrainian ultra nationalists that are ostensibly JQ pilled or whatever, who are working under a Jewish head of state and a Jewish Secretary of Defense. It doesn't jive, man. It doesn't make any sense. It's just this whole chaos for chaos' sake. There's no rhyme or reason to it. And I think that's what people get thrown off by. That's what the conspiracy brain gets thrown off by, because they're like, well, it doesn't jive, like these are two groups which ostensibly have, not a whole lot in common, but somehow, and ostensibly, according to the mainstream narrative, hate each other with a passion, but then surreptitiously they're working together in certain ways. And you're like, well, okay, well, who can you trust, like, ever, right? It's almost like, interesting. And there's always spies in a camp, right? I'm not suggesting that was what Bannon was or anything, but
right. But it's always possible, yeah. Clossington in the private chat said that something came up and he has to leave. Did you need to leave for just a few minutes, or do you need to leave for the rest of the stream?
No, I will have to leave for the rest of the stream. I just have a sort of prior engagement I need to suit up for.
Oh, okay. I didn't know I wouldn't have you for the whole stream tonight, or I would have planned around that.
No, it's all right. I should be able to come on in short order for a full stream, but I do actually have to head out.
Okay, man. Well, I'm glad you were here tonight, and good luck with your thing you have to get to. And I'll definitely be in touch and invite you back to come on again soon.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you, Yiz, for having me on, and thank you, rest of the panel. It's a pleasure as always.
See you soon, friend. Take care.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right. So
I am now the party leader. I have assumed
right.
command.
Mandrill has picked up the leadership crown here. So Newsfist, 3 of 12. Do you guys have any answers to the dragon's question?
Yes. The answer is yes. I've been saying actually for about a week now that the 9/11 thing is probably going to be the next shoe to drop from the Epstein files. There was a tweet going around saying that a large majority of the redacted files cover the period around 9/11. I then later saw a debunk, but I don't know. But that got me and presumably a bunch of other people thinking there is no goddamn way that someone like Epstein, who worked for Drexel Burnham and then for Bear Stearns and had friends like through, all through that industry, people like Howard Lutnick, who now appears to be like Trump's Jewish handler.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but you never see him anywhere without Lutnick. And I think Trump knows this as well, because there's that clip going around of Trump basically sort of kind of torturing Lutnick by excruciatingly going over his story of what happened on 9/11.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's
a great clip. And you can see the
9/11.
guy being very squeamish, like he wants to be anywhere else but there.
Trump is like, for 5 years, you didn't drive your daughter to school, but on that day, you decided to be a good father.
What a blessing.
Right? He knows. Okay.
Yeah, he knows.
Speaking,
which is a weird sort of like state to sort of be in. So presumably they've got leverage on him, he's got leverage on them. So it's sort of canceling each other out, which I suspect is why Trump still has the power to sort of resist them, because if he didn't, we'd already be bombing the crap out of Iran by now, right? So the idea that these people do not know what happened to the money, the gold. Remember, someone like did all those like shorts against American Airlines and never came around to like pick up the money. Those were apparently placed through Cantor Fitzgerald. Unfortunately, no one will ever know, because Cantor Fitzgerald was on the top floor of WTC1 and got exploded. Just 2 days before they were due to transition to a new electronic trading system, and Cantor Fitzgerald at the time controlled apparently 25% of the Treasury trading market, which is a lot of money. I'm sure there's nothing.
That's quite a few USD.
Yeah, look, I'm sure there's nothing untoward, and only a conspiracy theorist would think otherwise. I think I was wondering whether the Epstein files might be a bit of a distraction, in the sense that if there was proof that this group, particularly with Mossad backing, was behind 9/11, that would be a lot worse than just the kitty munching and snuggle struggling, as horrible as those crimes are, right? No. Like, I think from the point of view of the people that actually work in the security establishment, it would be regarded as like much worse.
And also, let us not
disagreeing.
forget.
You're not wrong from the perspective of state.
I was just cringing.
Yeah,
let us not forget the $2.3 trillion that Rumsfeld noticed was misappropriated, let's say,
right,
within the Pentagon budget. And I think, well, you know what? 3 of 12 hasn't given his answer. I will say,
if I may just like quickly conclude. Okay.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to conclude.
I'm not talking about the man on the street, right? I'm talking about the people inside the Pentagon, the people in the security services, the people in the military, right? Like the actual establishment. This would be much worse, right? Like it is that kind of stuff of the horrible things involving kids has been sort of happening like for ages. But I think it would, I don't know, certainly precipitate, let's say, probably talk of a coup or something like this. Is really major shit. Sorry, 3. Please go on.
No. I was letting you talk because you probably know more than me. I was very young when 9/11 happened, and I wasn't very active in the, I wasn't active in these circles back then. I would be too young. There's people on this panel who are significantly older than me and therefore kind of were adults, or at least old enough to be more coherent
I've been
when
into
these things
tinfoil
happen.
for like 15 or 16 years now, so I had a big head start on this.
I mean, it's not like my dad didn't initiate me, but not being around at the times doesn't help my case.
Because I remember my uncle, when it happened, looking at the TV and saying, that looks funny, because buildings only fall like that when they're purposefully destructed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of like blue collar worker observation where they're like, hey, I only exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
but anyway, I've seen the footage of the firefighters saying that they saw explosives, and I know about the dancing Israelis, and I know about there's lots of coincidences in big fat my tiny fingers can't make them thick enough quotation marks. There's all sorts of coincidences that happened, and then there's also the art project that installed lights in specific windows of the building that said land here. You know, I'm aware of all this stuff. I am essentially in agreement with Newsfist on pretty much everything here. That the shoe's going to drop on this. That the Epstein files are going to give us insights on all sorts of other events, and they already are, obviously, because I mean, it's only going to get worse from here. People are going to figure out that everything in our society is really not as it is on the surface, and the conspiracy theorists are going to bat. Or if they're batting 1,000 now, they're going to bat 10,000 in about a year or so.
So
I really do believe that.
They're batting 1,000 average is perfect. So you can't get better than perfect.
Oh, I'm emphasizing the fact that they're correct in like 10 ways at the same time.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Well, you might notice that the question on my dragon question card, let me pull it back up. That's a very important thing at the end. It says why. Now, this is the why that I think. I think that not everyone involved, and perhaps no one involved in 9/11, wanted to cause terror to America, or did it because they hate white people or Anglos or Americans or whatever. If you look at the people who benefited from this that we know of, you got your Silverstein, you've got, Epstein and the other people in his bailiwick, you've got corrupt, unknown intelligence people. I think that a bunch of these, let's call them Epstein adjacent individuals that are connected to Israeli and American intelligence, it would be pretty easy for them to be able to fudge numbers on paperwork, make things go missing, put pressure on people socially or through blackmail or extortion or just good old threats to keep things quiet, while a whole bunch of military budget money ends up in the hands of people who filter it through places like Ukraine. And I think that the real show, the real core of everything is the catcher's mitt at the Pentagon. Because what was destroyed there? The one place in the Pentagon where budget analysts and all of the people who ran the books worked, and where all of the financial material for how the defense budget is appropriated, the one and only place where all of that stuff was destroyed, and the handful of people that could have known anything about what Rumsfeld said was missing were killed. I think that is the real story of 9/11. And that is the why. I think that there's no way to make something so big and so grandiose that it would be all captivating and all distracting other than just killing a whole bunch of people with terrorism on American soil. What the hell else would anybody talk about? The entirety of the political and media machine would be focused on that for months or years to come. And I think that as dark and as mean and as evil and as unfathomably cold as it sounds, all of that death and destruction, I think, was just a distraction for a massive heist. That's what I think.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't be wrong. I mean, that's a much more plausible story arc than a lot of the other ones that the conspiracy brains give.
I mean, that's just my take of all of my tinfoil truth seeking of 9/11. The most reasonable thing that I can take from all of this is a bunch of rich, evil, unthinkably cold reptile brain motherfuckers just did a big terrorism distraction to steal a shit zillion dollars.
Well, I mean, just look at Sam Bankman-Fried. I mean, all of Sam Bankman-Fried's money like, well, and it always ties back to politics, right? This is like, once you understand, these people don't think of money like we think of money. They think of it as a giant like circle jerk, like endless profit and that sort of thing. They have magical money beliefs, but they think like, okay, I need to steal the money from over here, and then I shuffle it into politics, right? And all of Sam Bankman-Fried's money, guess where all of that went? That all went to, you know, the DCCC, right? For the congressional campaigns in what was it, 2018 or something? Like, yeah, all of the money just basically gets stolen or defrauded and then gets put into politics, right? They need the money to keep politics very, very, very stable. And if they can't keep politics very, very, very stable, well, it has a tendency to destabilize over time, and then people start noticing all of things.
Well, that was a fun conversation. Any more tinfoil you guys want to drop on this one? We hadn't done tinfoil in a while.
I just want to push back. Yes, right. Like, there was clearly a motivation to go to war with Iraq, right? I know a bunch of people made like a shitload of money, but I don't think it fully makes sense without the apocalyptic sort of religious aspect to it that would not only benefit the Zionists, but also the Christian Zionists, you know, because they're all about, we got to have the war between Gog and Magog so Jesus will come back on his little wooden bus. And
oh, absolutely.
Whatever is the most retarded shit I've ever heard in my life. But yeah.
Yeah, but my point is, it's a lot easier to manufacture a reason to go to war for the military industrial complex with its Zog government. Like, they don't need to do something that grandiose, that distracting. That's why I think the people involved are just incredibly evil and cold. And now, who are the people who worship death and sacrifice? Who does that remind you of? I think of Clintons and Epsteins when I think of that, don't you?
Carthaginians.
Yeah. So, like, those people obviously get what they want with mass death, with mass evil, and then you have the actors within the system that just rub their hands every day wanting the war machine to have more reasons to drop more bombs.
I think of the Babylonians.
What you said is not true, right? I've read a ton of foreign policy stuff around that time, and the usual people, mainly Jewish foreign policy establishment, were saying over and over that America was not ready to get into another war. Right. They weren't feeling it. They didn't see it. They couldn't convince like the State Department. The CIA kept like giving them like the wrong kind of intelligence. They said explicitly that, America needed some kind of really big attack, some kind of big shock to get them to go into war. So I don't agree that they could have just ginned up something else to get America into the war with Iraq. I think they needed something that huge.
Right. Well, my take after reading, because I've read that stuff too, and I think that it's more likely that the people who wanted to go to war, who are in the system, are willing to turn a blind eye and let terrorism happen. But the people who actually perpetrated it, I don't think they were working directly at the behest of the forever war people. I think that, like we were talking about earlier, how different people have different goals and different dirty laundry, and when sometimes things align, they work together. I think it was a combination of a bunch of really evil people who love death and stealing money doing that, and the people who could benefit from that allowed it to happen so they could have their next forever war. I think it is a mix of these people's coming together on this project. But I think the people who actually perpetrated that shit within the Pentagon, I think that they were probably the instigators, and it was only allowed to happen because the forever war Zog people were like, hey, this is great. These people are going to steal a bunch of this money, and they're going to give us a reason to kick off our next huge war.
I don't think that.
You don't think that? You think it's 100% psyop from the top down?
No. I just think that the network has been ruling the West for quite a while, right? And it kept gaining ascendancy and more power after World War II. And due to its mainly Jewish character and their sort of apocalyptic beliefs shared with the Christian Zionists, it was decided that they had to get a greater Israel. And so every sinew was bent towards that goal. I think actually it's the opposite way around, that the making of the money was actually incidental rather than the primary focus, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, again, I'm not saying that my theory is correct. I'm just saying that's what I think is the most reasonable from all that I've read. Because in my mind, yes, like America didn't want to go, Americans in general and the American political thing back then didn't really want to get involved in a big old war. But you look at the people who were, Zog loyalists, like the Bush family and people like that. I think that if they wanted to do war, they didn't need this massive terror attack to do it. They could have done a small one. They could have done something else. They could have had a plane get hijacked or some shit. Like, I don't necessarily think that it was necessary to do that level of death and destruction just to have a reason to shift gears.
Well, maybe
but again, I don't know.
They needed that level because it's a symbolic thing too. It's high visibility, right? The more death, the more destruction, the more visibility.
And the longer lasting, they can use that as a touchstone to keep the wars.
I'm sorry to say it, I have to agree with Newsfist. I think that he's right.
Yeah,
well, that's cool.
It was necessary.
Well, look, maybe when they release the rest of the Epstein files in 2065. We'll be able to find out.
I mean, I definitely think the people you're talking about are involved and complicit in it. It's hard for me to say which came first, like, because maybe what you're saying, that is the dominant driving force. And then you have a few people that were like, hey, we could really profiteer from this and steal a whole shitload of money and cover our tracks because this terror attack that's going to happen, we can just, hit the catcher's mitt and steal $2 trillion or cover our tracks from stealing this money.
It certainly was a sort of confluence of interests in that sense. So that's
it definitely seemed that way. Yeah.
That's why I think it probably has a religious motivation, right? Like I think this is one of the things that people often sort of miss about, world Jewry, to coin a phrase, is that the
phrase is international Jewry. That's the problem.
There's a very specific worldview and religious motivation that goes with these people. And most of the Gentiles, I think it's changing now, but most of the Gentiles, they don't understand that worldview, like not really. So anyway, I mean, good topic though.
Yeah, no, I had fun with this because I love talking about 9/11 truth stuff because there's so many high profile people that you can easily connect to certain parts of it. It seems like it was some big job by people that are deeply connected into the deep state system, no matter how you cut it. It definitely looks like there's a bunch of people with their hands dirty in that echelon of people. So, on one hand, it looks like a bunch of people that just wanted to steal a bunch of money. And then on the other hand, you have the Forever War people that needed a cultural touchstone in a way to kick off their next giant slug of Forever Wars for the machine. Like, and again, I think those things can exist independently, but work together towards a similar goal. So
I mean, that's the thing is, and that's what I was trying to say with the network stuff is like, just because you see two separate motivations working towards the same purpose doesn't mean that's like, that shouldn't throw your conspiracy brain off. That just means that, okay, you have like the religious Jews and the religious, evangelicals overlooking it, but then you've also got the money Jews who are like, okay, well, that's actually a place to get free cash. So never overlook the convergence of interest, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was a fun talk. That was a good one. Let's see if we have any paid chats before we move on here. Nothing there. All right. We are good to roll. So let's bring the topics back up. That was fun. I had a good time with that one. We have 2 topics left. We have Chimera Gold Medal and Birds of a Feather.
Well, I'm the
Raging Mandrill. So you are the usurper. What will be next, sir?
Usurper. I am the rightful king.
No, but anyway, what's next?
Let's see. I'm gonna have 3 of 12 pick the next one.
Okay, 3. Which will
actually no. We have to make him go last because he is least.
Okay.
Okay.
So a News Fist will pick the next one, and then we will do 3 of 12.
Oh, okay. So wait. So what have we? Chimera Gold Medal and Birds of. I'll take Birds of a Feather, please. Use for 10 points.
That is the green one. All right. We go now to the Daily Mail. Tucker Carlson detained in Israel. Journalist dragged into interrogation room as explosive interview sparks diplomatic firestorm. It's a bit of a bold headline for what this actually is, but we'll read it. Conservative podcaster Tucker Carlson said he and his staff were detained in Israel on Wednesday following an interview with Donald Trump's ambassador to Israel. The former Fox News host flew to Tel Aviv for a sit-down with Mike Huckabee, who challenged Carlson to speak to him directly following an online spat about about Israel's treatment of Christians. Carlson, who also frequently criticizes Israel for its military actions in Gaza, took Huckabee up on his offer. But as critics and pro-Israel activists began piling on Carlson for purportedly not leaving the airport during his brief visit, he revealed that he was met with hostility in Israel. Carlson exclusively told the Daily Mail that shortly after the interview, Israeli officials confiscated his passport and hauled off one of his colleagues to an interrogation room. Quote from Tucker. Men who identified themselves as airport security took our passports, hauled our executive producer into a side room, and then demanded to know what we spoke to Ambassador Huckabee about. It was bizarre. We're now out of the country, thankfully. Prior to the interview, Carlson posted a photo on X of himself and his business partner, Neil Patel, in front of Ben Gurion Airport on Wednesday with the caption, "Greetings from Israel." Now, here's a picture of very unhappy Tucker after being detained in Israel. So that's really all there is to this, but we're going to talk about it. So, the Green Dragon. The green with us tonight is a warder and great huntress who trains other greens in the old ways of nature magic and the divine bond between hunter and prey. In her older years, however, she's taken an interest in learning about the complexities of human worlds and is thankful for groups like ours. She chose this story tonight to ask us this. Newsfist. Do you believe Tucker's claims? If true, do you think Zionist or Israeli intimidation will work to change Tucker's speaking points?
Yeah, I absolutely do believe Tucker's claims. The Israelis are famous for this kind of crap. And not only that, shortly after he made the allegation, this Israeli shill, Ollie London, released this footage that he got from, I wonder where, showing Tucker taking a selfie with someone in the airport that apparently was his driver, a 20-second video, and then was like, see, this 20-second video proves that, his producers were not detained for like 2 hours while they asked them a whole bunch of questions. Of course, it proves nothing of the sort.
I'm getting a lot of background noise from somebody. Is that Mandrill working on his models?
Sorry about that.
Okay, all right.
Look, the Israelis absolutely hate Tucker. I am actually really surprised he even agreed to fly in there. I am doubly surprised, quite frankly, that Mike Huckabee agreed to talk with him. What the fuck did he think was going to happen, right? Huckabee has literally caused a major diplomatic incident, right? For the first time in as far as I can remember, all of the Arab countries issued a joint declaration in response to Huckabee's comments that he would be fine if Israel took over the entire Middle East. Oh my God.
Absolute madness, these Zio people.
Such a car crash of an interview, right? I had always assumed that the reason why they even let him into the country was so that they could harvest the devices of anyone traveling with him, run signals intelligence, do some interrogation, some digging. However, it seems that Tucker is actually wise to this tactic because he's commented a couple of times about how like the Israelis always hack your devices like whenever you go there. So I'm presuming that him and his team were all took like burner phones with them, right? This is the thing about a lot of this fuckery is it relies very heavily on trust, and that's why you sort of see the kind of like gormless types kind of stumble into the network's clutches, you know what I mean? Because they're not, quite frankly, they're just not paranoid enough, right?
Like when I hear the word gormless, I think Keir Starmer.
Well, I don't know. I think he might just be pretending to be gormless, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, they bring all their like actual devices, they go hang out in the hotel room, they leave their laptop there, right? Like, and they just, they harvest their entire life and then, give it to Black Cube or whoever it is that, 8200, right? will Israeli intimidation work to change Tucker's speaking points? I don't think so. Tucker has said that Netanyahu has now personally threatened 2 of his family members, although he did not provide specifics. I think that we are.
I mean, honestly,
now,
I believe him. I believe him.
I believe him too. We are now approaching the stage. Okay, so the stage in the cycle works like this. Okay, so the stable stage is where we're not going to have the conversation, right? Anyone trying to have the conversation is, antiseptic. How dare you even want to have the conversation, right? Like, what are you, some kind of mustache man, okay? But eventually, the facts on the ground forced the conversation. In this case, it was the whole Gaza thing and just the insane dominance of AIPAC, right? So now they are forced into having the conversation. This is a very, very uncomfortable situation because they inevitably have to wind up defending the indefensible, right? Which we've seen Mark Levin do, we've seen Randy Fine do, we have seen Jonathan Greenblatt do, we have seen Mike Huckabee do, right? Now, the more they defend the indefensible, the more everyone is like, "What the fuck are you like? What the hell?" And this is why, of course, they don't want the conversation to take place in the first place.
Right.
Now that the conversation is taking place and they have defended the indefensible, the next phase is where a whole bunch of people turn around and be like, "Dude, what you are saying is like evil, right? Like this shit is like straight up evil." And then the next phase is you get a number of people, usually Christians, and this is one of the reasons why Christianity is what it is, and one of the reasons why it arose as a counterforce to rabbinical Judaism is because Christianity is a way of resisting that kind of a system. And one of the ways that you resist a system like that is to do what Jesus did and just be like, screw you all. I'm telling the truth. I don't care what you do to me. Right. And this is, they'll be like, "Oh, we'll take away all your stuff. Don't care. Oh, we'll threaten your family. Don't care. Don't care." And that is really sort of, and then you enter like another phase where, the response becomes increasingly militarized. Like imagine if they do actually take down a couple of members of Tucker's family. That's only going to strengthen his resolve. There's certain kinds of people you just can't really threaten like that, right? Like, and the more you do it, the more
convicted they become.
The more convinced that, exactly. The more conviction they're going to get. So, but the thing is, what I have noticed generally of the Levantines is that they have one strategy and they just keep playing it even when it starts falling apart. And most of the time that strategy works really well. It's a great strength. But then once you enter like the end phase, it actually becomes an incredible weakness. But they can't really change the way they're working. So it starts falling apart.
Okay. That's cool. So anybody else want to throw in on this one?
God, I wish I could say I have any special insight that like Newsfist doesn't have, but I don't really. I believe Tucker for all the same reasons. I grew up with him in like high school. He is, unless his entire personality is fake, he's always come up to someone who's genuinely curious and honest about topics and feels the same way as us about these things and just wants to get to the bottom of it. I don't know what else to say, man. He's like the gold standard. He's the best pundit that Fox News ever had.
Yeah, for real.
I believe him. I believe any of the crazy shit that he'd ever say to me, because that's just him, kind of having a visceral reaction to the real world. And like, bro, he's just kind of one of us in that sense. I mean, when I was literally in Tennessee to meet Yiz, my dad turned on Fox News in the hotel, and he was saying anti-white this, anti-white that. Yep. And that was less than a month before he was removed from Fox News. It was clear that he was getting too spicy for them, and he was getting too close to the truth. And since then, his show on X has done well. I've watched several episodes of it. He's a fantastic interviewer.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Oh yeah,
he does great interviews. Like he is one of the best actual like interview journalist types that we have going right now. He's great.
I really love his interview about the 100 MPG car. I think that's fantastic, and I think that needs to be talked about more. But watch it. It's really good. Okay, cool. But to stick to the question, yes, I believe him for all those reasons. And I don't think it will work on him because he's already been pressured. He's already been pressured by the establishment. He's been pressured by people like Ted Cruz and Mike Huckabee. And honestly, he goes out of his way to seek this sort of confrontation, not the other way around. They're not going to scare him. He knew that this is what was going to happen when he tried to do this. I think he absolutely 100% knew it. And this just gave him ammo to present, look, this is what the Israeli state does. It is not our friend. It needs to be under scrutiny and under criticism. And the people that we have who are supposed to be representatives and liaisons who are supposed to interact with Israel are also covering up their actions. Like Mike Huckabee is just a shill, a weird evangelical crazy shill. And Ted Cruz is no better. And that's all it took was the exposing Ted Cruz for him to go from major Trump ally to Jude, what the fuck are you even saying? Who the
Mandrill,
fuck are you?
Mandrill, do you have anything to throw in on this one? Or
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all to answer the Dragon's question. That there's just nothing that would surprise me. But I mean, like the point about like being detained is interesting, just because, you know, like they know that Tucker doesn't like Israel. They know that he has critiques of them. He has critiques of that particular group of people, and like, you know, this is one of the ways that you know, go after somebody using soft power. You know, even if there was nothing found, or even if there was no reason to, like, it doesn't matter. Like you throw in a sense of Jewish paranoia, and obviously they're going to see if they can rustle up something. So yeah, but no, nothing surprises me.
oh, here's a comment that Newsfist will like before we move on. Here's a comment for you, Newsfist. You'll like this one.
Yes. Well, indeed. And dispensationalism is the reason why Israel is called Israel and not called Zion.
Right.
Because really it should be called Zion. That's why they're like the Zionists, right? It was changed apparently at the last minute on, well, they don't know exactly who it was who intervened, but if I had to lay money on it, I'd say probably the Rothschilds. And it was done deliberately so they could get the Christians to back them.
It was the peanut butter on the pill to get the dog to eat it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sort of, right? Like really, you know, Israel should be called Zion, like, you know, but you know, whatever. Yeah, good comment.
Yeah. Anyway, that was fun too. We have one topic left though, and it's Chimera Gold Medal. Now I know what this will be, but I don't know if you guys will. So, Mr. Mandrill, you are the acting leader now. Do you want to pass this off to 3 of 12 and have him answer first?
Yes. We will send the last topic to the last and least of the stream.
Okay.
Fuck you.
No, he means that jokingly because you're the smallest.
I know. I know. It's thank you. Fuck you.
All right. So we're going to look at this. Alyssa Liu's shine is gold as she becomes the first American woman since 2002 to stand atop a podium. And of course, the word American in the sentence is used very liberally. Alyssa Liu carried the flag. Well, you know what? I'm not going to read this. This little freak show here won a gold medal for figure skating. And, you know, everybody knows it. If you pay attention to Olympics or modern or normie news at all, you know this. She's a Chinese American from California. But this is interesting. I did some reading about her and her family. Alyssa Liu's parents are Chineses who were against the CCP and fled China in the 80s to come to the United States. But lo and behold, the wifey poo had fertilization problems. So I find this very interesting that the Lius, all 5 of their kids, apparently, were born with IVF, but with eggs from white ladies in America. So that might be one of the reasons they have this like weird uncanny valley, their physiognomies all over the place look. Now, I only know what the one kid looks like, and I couldn't tell you this person's race with a gun to my head. Like, I have no idea. Like, the physiognomy is, I can't tell. It looks a bit Asian. It looks a bit European. It looks a bit Indian.
Yeah,
like,
you call her Hapa.
Yeah, like she's some kind of Hapa mix, right? And I just found this very interesting that all of their children were made with white lady donor eggs. I just found that very interesting. So let's talk about it. Let's pull up the old white dragon here, which is this grizzled old guy. The white with us tonight is quite old, even by dragon standards, and has a long line of progeny who lord over 3 different worlds in the Dragon Empire. Bloodlines and clan strength are important, despite what lesser ideologies or politics permeate culture. And since our group speaks openly about such things, he's curious how we view the Lu family in relation to the white race, Western culture, and being American. Raised in America to be American by Chinese immigrants who eschewed China and condemned the CCP, given life by the eggs of white women via in vitro fertilization. Keep that in mind, and here's the question for you 3 of 12. How white do you view the Lu's children? And do you think non-whites like the Lu's and their partially white genetics children are part of the West or part of America? And if so, to what degree?
Well, I would say half. And also would.
Oh, God.
No, I clocked her as Happa immediately for the same reasons as some people in chat. They're pretty common to see in certain parts of the country.
Especially California.
Yeah. And I don't know. It might be my white man genes, but I'm into it big time. What, she's white and Asian? Okay, that gets me going.
And also non-communist Chinese, which is
exactly
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely, without the bag. Thanks, teabagging. No. I think it's that sort of
T would hit it like Gollum, raw and wriggling.
I was going to say 3 of 12 is speed running a Victor Steiner Davion.
That's a good one. Non-Battletech bros won't get that, but that's fine. That's fine. So
Dude,
it's funnier because Victor Steiner Davion is short.
Yeah, I'm definitely weirded out by this phenomenon though, because I learned about it just before she won the gold. That there's an entire class of Chinese rich men who are, probably party members or whatnot, engaging in this sort of eugenics experiment where they have 100 children through IVF by, throwing a lot of money around and having a lot of surrogates have children, and basically whichever ones seem to be successful are the ones that they own the most. Yeah. And though in this case there does seem to be a bit more organic shit going on with the whole we ran away from China after Tiananmen Square.
I only spent about 20 minutes a day looking into the family. There's not a lot to be found other than Olympic puff piece stuff that I could find. And I didn't find any dirt on the Lu family. They seem to be a pretty normal, regular center, lean left type of, lib shits who live in city type people who love America. Right. But the America they love is like Gavin Newsom's California. So, not great, but, not like active CCP agents or anything. I didn't get that vibe when I went reading about the family. They seem like normal paused anti-white shit lib white people, which, I prefer to the infinity non-whites being pumped into our country that don't belong here. At least these people seem to like American people, white people, and American culture or white culture, depending on how you want to say it. It's just they're sort of like left-leaning liberal versions of that. But they didn't seem like, CCP agents or anything.
Well, I will give you encouraging news, since I was paying attention to the Olympics and the things that she was saying herself. She had trouble with executive decision making when she was growing up, mostly because the family was pushing that on her, and she basically grew out of it as soon as she became an adult. And she's rejected the woke shit. She's not going to stand for people's political ideologies. She says she's very anti-LGBT now.
Good. That's nice.
She's a lot happier since she took control of her life and her routines and her training. And this is what brought her to the gold, is taking control of her life. She is just such a fucking beam of sunlight. I love her to death.
That's good. That's good. I might like her too if I read up on her. But
Yeah.
when it comes to how you see her, do you see her as a fellow American? And do you think she is as American as you?
I think she's as American as me. She seems very patriotic, and that was something I noticed about the Olympic teams, is that there's definitely a split between two groups of people. There were the people who were very much not focused, and they were more concerned about politics than winning or succeeding at whatever they were doing. They would always complain about Orange Man bad when they lost. And
Right.
meanwhile, there you have the men's soccer team who are just like, USA, USA, US is the greatest country on the face of the earth because of Jesus Christ. And I'm like, yes, that is exactly what winners are like. That is what it looks like to win.
Okay.
You-
When it comes to how you view HAPA mixes, even if it's through in vitro fertilization, do you consider those people adjacent to you racially speaking? Do you think that she is and the Lus are white adjacent or white passing? Like, how do you view them through a racial lens as in relation?
I would say so. Yeah, I would say white adjacent.
Okay.
Because the Chinese, when they were removed from communism, are not a dysgenic people. All you need to do is look at Hong Kong or Taiwan, and you see, man, these people are intelligent, polite, orderly, respectful.
I think the best of them are, but
Yeah.
my friend who lives in China tells a much different story about that. He says that that's like the kind of Chinese that we know and like here is
Yeah.
like maybe 1 out of 10,000 there. That
Well-
the vast majority of the people there are just idiot moronic bug people that are barely any better than Jeets.
Well,
It's
at
the
the very
immigrant
least, that
bias, isn't
applies to this family because they were rich enough to get out.
Oh yeah, no,
when-
definitely it applies to the Lus. I'm not saying the Lus are like
Yeah,
that. I'm just
yeah.
saying like
I think
you know,
they're the kind of Chinese we want here.
yeah, that's what it seems like to me too.
So, and just the fact that she is half, means that she probably gets the best of both worlds as an Olympic athlete. She just hit the lottery on quality as far as genetics goes. So I think absolutely, I would take her as one of us.
Okay. Well, same question to the other American here, Mr. Raging Mandrill. Same cluster of questions to you. Answer however you see fit.
I tend to say no, not really. And there are differences in vision of citizenship, and it's always the edge cases that are the problem ones, right? If you take a strict and pure standard on these things, like the edge cases are always going to be a bit of an issue. So let me just back up for a second, right? It's nice that she is doing things for my country and representing us positively instead of some of the other immigrant types who are just openly pro-Chinese.
And for the record, she's not an immigrant. All the children were born here in the United States.
Well, okay, but her family's from a recent immigrant background. But yeah,
Right.
Anyway. And yeah, okay, that's like it is a little unseemly, right? That it is using eggs from white women to be fertilized here. So it is a little odd. This is a very odd family arrangement, and I don't like putting up the odd family arrangements as if they're normative, right? There's a problem here about the way that the current system enjoys doing this. They love to take the edge case, the marginal case,
like how the transgenders like to use
Yeah.
people like me as their poster children to push drag queens and pedophilia on kids.
Exactly. And so of course they're going to take this one case with using some very obscure well, actually maybe not so obscure these days, but basically a non-standard way of getting pregnant, and then you're saying, oh, this is normative, basically. You're saying, oh, this is and you're going to play this up to the nines, and you're going to make mixed race people seem as if they are the norm, and oh, look, now we're going to have our heckin' wholesome Chungus mixed race empire of people, and people who look like me are not going to have the same opportunities, right? Because even under, the system as it currently legally exists, like Lucy Liu is still going to have preference over somebody like me in all sorts of ways. And so like that's the reason why I don't like it, right? Is because the system as it currently exists wants to make more of this kind of person and wants to make less of me. So am I supposed to like just accept that? I don't know. Like, all I'm saying is it's an easy trap to fall into, to say, oh yes, we'll totally welcome this person here. But this is a centrist big tent style, and I'm not of that opinion at all. So
sure. Well, let me ask Mr. Newsfist, because I have a lot to say on this, and I want us to have a good discussion on the things I want to talk about. But let's do the question first. Mr. Newsfist, what do you think about this topic?
Well,
about this question. I mean,
as much as I agree with Mandrill about my heckin' wholesome chungus mixed race empire, the facts on the ground is that these people exist. And so from the point of view of someone in London, I have to say that for me, the dividing line is whether such people are capable of maintaining a civilization or not. And I would regard Hapa, Chinese, Japanese, Koreans as totally able to do that.
right.
So I guess the way I'm answering this question is, if you have to have mixed race people, which I'm not really in favor of, but if you were forced to choose, I would rather them than half blacks, which are still quite impulsive and have all sorts of other kinds of weird characteristics. But I don't know, are they? I mean, I don't know. Artie's been talking about this a lot. Like, he was talking about it a lot on the last stream.
I am of a similar mind, and I wanted to talk to him about this the last time that I was able to speak to him, but didn't get to. I would love to be able to be on stream with him and talk about this at great length. So let's go ahead and remove that question now, because Artie, which is rhetorically defective, RD becomes the name Artie. Rhetorically defective and I, we have this concept where on one side of the white identity cluster of people, which we all are here in some way or another, you have some people that say that have a different, a noticeably conflicting dichotomy, where they will on one hand say, this person isn't white because he has a black great grandfather or a Cherokee grandfather or something like that. But for the Jews, they'll say, oh, well, that person, is a Jew because he has a great grandfather or whatever that's, a Jewish person or whatever. So you cede territory to all of the other civilizational groups, which are your oppositional power groups on Earth, by saying, if our blood is tainted at all, we disown them and we give them to the other team. And that's a little bit self-defeating, because I just don't think that's a very realistic, applicable view to politically, culturally, and socially winning. Like,
I agree.
Like,
this is true. Yeah,
like look at the children of the Lus, right? At least the daughter that we know about, who's popular, doesn't really like the paused LGBT anti-white stuff, right? She's half white. She knows it. And even though both her parents are Han Chinese who came here because they hated communism and were, Tiananmen Square supporters, like, they fled the CCP and wanted to come to the United States to live a better life because they didn't like that communist shit. Now, just because they're sort of like regular in their American views and live in California doesn't mean that they are rabidly anti-white scumbags or active subverting communists. From all that I could find about the family, which granted isn't much, it didn't seem like that was the case. So my point with all of this, and sort of how I align with Artie, is if we are going to take territory culturally and socially speaking, if we have someone who is half white or a quarter white of a relatable group of people who are capable of civilizational production, like a Japanese, a Korean, a Slav, people like that, and we say, okay, you are white enough to be on our team. Your actions and your choices to be on Team White can give you the white card. Like, why are almost no white identity people willing to accept that?
I think I have an easy answer to this question. And the answer is, it's a lot easier to accept a marginal case. Number one, if the system as it currently exists were changed to be less overtly hostile. So that's number one. Number two, the other answer is, even though this person might agree with me politically on, overwhelming amounts of support, they would be very, very uncomfortable with the possibility of an actual vanguardist movement arriving and taking power. And they would ostensibly block that or push, the political and cultural situation in a much more ostensibly conservative or normie conservative direction. And so it all would just become this it's basically what we have now, right? There's been a conservative turn in politics, and for temporarily we've been put on ice for a little while, I think. And this is the kind of hesitancy that we see, right? We don't really want the Wignats to come to power because that means that, I'm going to be mistreated or something,
right?
And so that's this is the heart of the argument, I think. The Lucy Lou's of the world don't want to be just exterminated or anything like serious like that, or excluded from what they see as their own land. And somebody on my side of this argument would say, well, we can accept a little bit of admixture over time, but this would be basically what happened under Russia, right? With the Soviet Union.
Yeah,
that's just the way that it is. But you have to take the thumb off the scale, right? Let's be very blunt here, right? Somebody with Lucy Lou's background has all sorts of advantages in hiring, in employment. She could claim affirmative action due to her innate characteristics in a way that somebody like me could not.
Right.
Right.
To my knowledge, her family doesn't do that.
Well, I don't care. That the system is a legal system. Okay.
Right.
It's a bureaucratic structure. Okay. It's a rule and law set. And even though, yes, technically that court case was won, it was won on the basis of the fact that Harvard was and all of these other Ivies were discriminating against Asians primarily, right? It was not because that it was Harvard was discriminating against me or any of my group. It was them, and there just so happened to be collateral damage in that fight. And unfortunately, you've won. Yeah, that court case was won, but you have to continue movement to say, all right, well, we need to make sure that we get extractions from the system in legal terms as well. So, I mean, from a primarily political viewpoint, you have to make sure that continuity of direction gets maintained. That's the hard and fast of it. I'm sorry, but it has to be.
Can I just point out one other thing? When we were discussing this on the last stream, someone in the chat said something, because we were talking about recessive genes and how things like red hair and blue eyes, they'll sort of basically disappear. And someone said, look, as long as you shut the borders, those haplogroups will reappear. The only problem is if you're constantly adding more dominant genes into the mix continually.
Then they do go away, yeah.
Then they do go away, right? And so I think it's, okay, so let's take this chick, what's her name? Lucy Liu. What else? It's not Lucy Liu, but the Happer.
Sorry, Alyssa Liu.
Alyssa Liu. Okay,
yeah,
right.
Lucy Liu was the actress who was popular in the 90s.
So if she grows up and marries like a nice white guy, okay, her kids will be white, right? Like literally to all intents and purposes, right? You probably wouldn't even be able to tell. Right?
Yeah, Azimuth Clark.
Actually, you can.
Azimuth even said that in chat earlier. Azimuth Clark said that if she takes a white husband and their kids are white, then yes, they could easily be seen as white. But
right? Look, it wouldn't be perfect. I'm sure they'd have probably a touch of the encephalalic fold, or they might look a little exotic. Okay, but excuse me, but to all intents and purposes, they would be
perpetuating European genetics, right?
If those kids then married whites, right? Within what I'm saying is within 2 or 3 generations, right? They would basically be white. And I think Artie's onto something here, honestly, right? his original argument was that, if you're Jewish and you only have like 25%, Jewish DNA, then they claim you, right? Whereas, the tendency on the white side is to just be like, oh, you've got to be 100%. Unfortunately, the intermixing has already happened and can't be sort of really reversed, right? Like the most you can do is number one, stop more people from coming in, and two, just sort of like let it work itself out. And obviously the plan, if there is such a plan, is to just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it until, and you've got to remember as well, like, despite all the propaganda, it is still overwhelmingly true that whites, generally speaking, want to breed with other whites, right? Like this is how genetic populations maintain their distinction.
When you look at the numbers of interracial marriages, it's still minuscule for whites. Like that's not like, despite all of the propaganda and all of the pause and all the idiot white women you see with black baby daddies, like that's still a very, very small percentage of white people in North America. It's very small.
Yeah. It's the perception of indignity, isn't it? That's the problem is we do not have control over our destiny, and the women which do make admixture, or in of course there was one comment in the chat who mentioned this as well. This is using a white woman's egg for the insemination of from an Asian male in an Asian woman, right? So
but they raise their kids to only speak English and to love America, so that's good.
Right. But on the other hand, Mandrill, right?
It's a symbolic thing. When your women's eggs are being inseminated by another foreign man, that is a symbol of being conquered, basically, right? So historically, right, and so it is a bit of a sensitive issue.
But what would have happened to those eggs otherwise, I guess, right? I mean, you can talk about feminism being responsible for all these like crazy bitches, like I'm gonna freeze my eggs, right? Which is probably where they came from.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Right? Yes. Like, so otherwise they probably would have just gone bad in storage. So
never been used. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A lot of them aren't. The vast majority of the storages are not getting used.
This is such a messy topic, you know what I mean, right? And like Mandrill correctly says, it's always the edge cases that get tricky. Victorian Time Traveler was saying that blue and green eyes do permanently disappear. I don't know. I mean, where did the genotype come from originally? He says God designed them. That could be true. I like to think that they would reemerge, that bleaching is a more powerful force than people have realized. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry to burst the Aryan Hyperborea meme bubble, but that is a recessive trait.
Yes.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, to maintain continuity, you have to maintain purity, right? That is just a fact of life, and
nature does take care of that. Like every time I look at the numbers, it's always like the number of interracial white and notably very non-white couples is less than 1%. So it's like, it's not like that's happening in giant numbers. Like that's not happening. What does happen?
There's just a ton of propaganda.
Mind cancer and the propaganda that gets whites to take themselves out of the gene pool. That's the real problem.
I mean, I see a lot of white girls with non-whites these days. It's not just as small of a number.
No, I'm talking about people who are married and have successful families, not idiot white women who fuck around with non-whites and have stupid kids and no families. Those people don't matter.
Right.
They're just degenerate mongrels that will die out and will never matter anyway.
With all the conversation that's gone on here, I mean, I have to remind you that as long as white people just have kids, they won't die out. Even if we have these other people, and like Yiz is right about how like those mixed race retards that don't have successful lives and are essentially have irrelevant lives, they don't matter. They don't matter. Yeah, you might see the occasional mulatto who's just completely irrelevant. But you know what? You know where these people aren't? Everywhere but the cities.
Right. And also, and like these mongrel people that are all messed up, other than like having pointless bureaucratic jobs, they don't really ever affect the system or matter unless they're being utilized as pawns by powerful people in the system who, guess what, aren't mixed race mongrels.
Yeah.
So it's like this is why I don't care about mixed tards, like Alex just said.
Even in
That's
this
a good word,
specific
Alex.
case.
That's a good word.
Mixed tards. Even in this specific case, the only reason why she's mixed is because it had a purpose. The idea that they were going to eventually get children that were going to have the best of both worlds, and she's just a cute happa. I mean, like her mere existence is not a crime. The massive crime would be is if these people were somehow systematically encouraged over us to exist, and they were just the government puts effort, or at least both private enterprise and the government work together to make sure that only a certain racial mixture existed in the country, right? At the end of the day, just fucking have kids. And there's other answers to this, like having enclaves, reversing forced integration.
Yeah, I mean that's already happening. Like that's happening in a lot of places. So it's like there's a lot of good stuff happening for us racially and culturally speaking. And I think that this goes back to why we were talking about this is when we gain social power and actually start having people in higher up places in our government, in our countries, businesses and things that stop being anti-white and then maybe even one day are openly pro-white, then I think we will have the cultural social allowance to flex on people and be like, oh, well, your mother's white. You should act white, because if not, you're doing us all a disservice. Like, we're going to claim you and force you to act on our standards, or there will be consequences. Like, that's how the Jews treat the Jews. That's how certain Muslim ethnic clusters treat their own. It's how the fucking Han Chinese have their little weird Nazbol thing going on over there in the CCP. Like, this is just how things work, like on planet Earth, like with people and power. So I think that it is a point of wisdom to listen to people like me and Artie and others who say, don't be this nut job racial purist and push that, because that's not really applicable where the rubber meets the road in building a country and culture. Like you have to have some flex, because not only do you need some flex to make allowance for the good edge cases, you also need flex to force people of slightly mixed heritage to conform and to do what's right. That matters too. Like you see a lot of this in Brazil, like where they where the different ethnic makeups, they sort of praise the European heritage as, hey, don't dishonor that wonderful gift that your bloodline was given. You know, lean into it. Don't dishonor family, that kind of thing. Well, that's all I have to say on the topic. Anything else you guys want to bring up about this? Because I had a fun conversation with this one.
No. Treasure? Do we have treasure?
We sure do. You guys want to look at some funnies?
Yeah.
But I know it's late for you, Newsfist. I know it's late. Let's go ahead and look at some funnies, then we'll get out of here. All right. Oh, wait. I forgot. I got to talking and didn't check PayPal and stuff. Let's see if anybody sent in anything. See if we have any last-minute donations. No, not seeing any. All right. Got to put up my treasure card because it makes me happy. All right, it's meme time. Starting with this one. Look at me, I'm the Sphinx, meow. That one made me happy. It's cute. Then we have, I love this. I bet he's thinking about other girls. And then plastic dinosaurs are real dinosaurs.
That's bullshit.
Checkmate, atheists.
Oil does not.
Got bad news for you. That's not what fossil fuels are usually made out of.
I know, it's just funny. It's funny, me. I like this one. Witch turns me into a frog. Now suffers, she says. Me, chilling on a leaf. Experiencing happiness for the first time in my life. Witch. No, wait! I love how happy and cute that little frog is. It's just so adorable.
Yeah. He's like Globert from Rayman.
I love this. America beats Canada twice for Olympic gold. And then Canada.
Oh, Canada.
I have 3 Canada memes tonight. This is one of them. The next one is this one.
I like how Canada took the Sith colors, to really bring it home that they're not the good guys.
The Sith are the good guys. We've been over this many times. Anyway.
Yeah, Jedi are evil.
Yeah. And then the last one,
are evil.
it's called Snow Soccer now, Snow Monkey.
Yeah, that's the one I posted in
I saw that.
standing.
I like this one. This is funny from this lady. Liberals need to calm down. President Trump is not going to harm gay people, bring back slavery, or strip women of rights. He's not a Muslim. I like this. Teach them to be ungroomable.
Damn right.
Little girl with a shotgun. That's great.
I like how even the hunting outfit is pink.
Yeah, it's cute. It's cute. And then you guys know that I love to end on a George Floyd meme that I haven't seen. And this week I found one. Did you guys see that thing where Gavin Newsom talked about how, he did the Hello Fellow Kids thing where he talked about how he couldn't read well and, he didn't like to read books and shit? I present to you Gavin Gavin Floyd, ladies and gentlemen. Good times. Good times.
Imagine saying that.
Oh my
all right.
I needed that.
No, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Now, I do have a short funny to play you guys, but before we do that, I would like to remind everyone to go over to the Old Glory Club. Tonight's American Spirits on the OGC can be found at this link. They will be live at 9 p.m. Eastern, which is in about 45 minutes. I will be there. It is a wonderful stream series that I highly recommend, especially if you care about knowing who you are as an American. It is a wonderful stream series reviewing important people, writers, and speakers of American history and how it applies to today and what we can learn from them. It's a wonderful stream series. Now, I promised you funnies, and funnies ye shall have. Let me pop these open. Get the first one in here. All right. First, we are doing two things tonight. Since we talked about the half-white Asian that won us a gold medal, I would like to celebrate another Asian who I think is absolutely hilarious, and from what I can tell, is not some kind of paused liberal shitbag. And that is, of course, it didn't take. There we go. You guys know that I love dumb schlock and bad movies, and I absolutely love James Hong. James Hong is very popular with people who love my kind of movies. Of course, he was Lo Pan in Big Trouble in Little China, but he's done a lot of other roles in movie and TV. He's fantastic. And here he is celebrating his 97th birthday. James Hong is 97 years old, and he still has it. This is him at age 97 at a convention doing Lo Pan from Big Trouble Little China. And I want you guys to see it.
Can you hear me? Yes. I'm still looking for the girl with the green eyes. Who girl with green eyes? What does this mean? I shall marry both of them. All right. Give me the power. Show them.
Grab you some sword. Fly up to the top of that thing. Thank you.
Now this is fun for people who remember Big Trouble in Little China. It's one of my favorite ridiculous 80s movies. It's so good.
Yeah, it's pretty unhinged, but yeah, it's great.
It's great. Now, speaking of unhinged, I found something amazing. And we are going to watch this before we say goodnight. I present to you Lo Pan style.
David Lopan style. Lopan style. Godfather of Little China, king and the warrior. Entombed inside this Britain, form appearances can fool ya. Like nothing you can understand, but let me try and school ya. David Lopan, Mr. Burton. I own Kong Exchange, importing things from taking province that are really strange. No working girls and no white tiger, they all know my name. I bring the thunder and the lightning, then I make it rain. I make it rain. I must be shielded by flesh and blood, flesh and blood. In search of my bride with dragon green eyes, lift this curse, lift this curse. Then I'll rule this universe beyond the grave, 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 grave. David Lopan style. Lopan style. No. David Lopan style. Green-eyed lady. No.
This is Jack Burton, the Pork Chop Express. First you're this basket case on wheels, now you're an 8 feet tall maniac. I don't want any trouble, big or small, Dave. I just want my truck back. When crazies like you ask me if I paid my dues, have you paid your dues, Jack? Yes, sir, the check is in the mail.
Oh, I'm not insane. I kidnap Chinese girls as soon as they get off the plane. Cross-checking iris colors till I match a creamy jade. Now then, it's time for you to tame my burning blade. Arrangements made. Raise me and now you. That makes you women. Eyes of green. Why doesn't they? I might shoot now. Won't you hear my cry? Feel my own. I'll marry both. Till the round I make the other one my slave, 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 slave. David Lopan style. Lopan style.
James Hong still has it.
David Lopan style. Green-eyed lady. Need love in your arm, I'm a shove. Then maybe, baby, we can prove that I am flesh and blood. 6 demon bag, an action you shouldn't have. I drink your peasant magic potions and it made me gag. And take a shot. Green-eyed lady. David Lopan style. Green-eyed lady. David Lopan style.
Well, there you have it. Happy 97th birthday, James Hong.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
What a good time. What a good time. Lomax, where do I find this? It's like you don't know I live on the internet, my dude. Like, come on now. You know
Lomax doesn't. That's the problem.
You know I bring you the dank. That's why you come here. You come here to hear the hot takes and the good and see the good dank. That's why you come here. I know what you want. I know what you Wiggers want, and I deliver. That's why I have probably the best panel stream in this sphere, I would say. It's too bad I'm not bigger than I am, but I'm thankful for the views and the dollars I make and the people that come watch me, so I'm happy with that. Thank you to my wonderful guests. Thank you, as always, to my loyal co-host 3 of 12. Thank you to all of you who financially support me monthly. And thank you to all of you who support the Old Glory Club, which you certainly should if you care about white people in America. You should support the Old Glory Club. And speaking of, head on over to the Old Glory Club, like I said, here in about 40 minutes for the next installment of American Spirits. So, Mr. Raging Mandrill, while you're here, anything you'd like to shill, sir?
Nope, not at the moment.
Newsfist, anything you want to shill, sir?
Yeah, do watch my history podcast, Fistory. It's Mondays. We did part 3 of the Jewish history of England, covering the expulsion and the readmission. If you're into that kind of like stuff, and of course I stream with Rhetorically Defective on Tuesdays and Fridays. You can find all of my links at newsfist.net. It's free for a limited time only.
3, I see you have something linked you would like to share.
Yes, I'd like to
hardware?
Yes, I'd like to shill this YouTube channel, Retro Hardware. He seems to be a Polish man, but he does crazy retro builds. And he's got like one of his oldest videos is that he's overclocking Tualatin Pentium 3s with an air conditioner.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, it's very wild stuff. He makes some really crazy builds. I love it. He's worth taking a look at.
All righty. Tomorrow, shilling for myself, I will be playing more Darktide. 4 p.m. Eastern. +5, 9 p.m. UK time. You can come hang out with me. Watch me play some Darktide. It's free. Darktide's not free. Watching me play it is, though. All right. Good night, everybody. I'll see you soon. God bless.
Good night.
Good night.